Hi everyone, it's Rax. The No Rest for the Wicked early access came out today, and I played for 13 and a half straight hours, and I beat everything in the game, as far as I'm aware. I beat the main story, I beat all of the side quests, I beat all of the bounties, I beat all of the challenges, and then after you do all of that, a little bit of an end game spawns, and I played some of that as well. I guess I could have went further in the end game, but other than that, I beat everything that the game has to offer so far. So I wanted to make a review and tell you honestly what I think about the game. Again, this is not a sponsored video. I'm just going to be honest with you after playing through it. A lot of the things went well, and there's a lot of things that could be improved upon going forward. So the first thing that I want to tell you, which might be interesting for you, is I have never played a Dark Souls game ever. Never played Dark Souls. I've never played Elden Ring, not even for a single second. So this was kind of my introduction to what a Dark Souls game is like. And one of the questions that I got asked the most today is this more like Dark Souls or is this more like an ARPG? And to me, it feels much more like an ARPG for a lot of different reasons. First of all, the combat is very, very slow and it's very methodical. This is not how anything goes in PoE or Last Epoch or Diablo 4 unless you're fighting an uber boss. But really, every single rat is an uber boss in this game. There's very, very brutal punishes for your choices. So if you make one, I have fought several bosses where I took away 99% of their health, made a single mistake, and was 100 0'd for it. So you can be horribly punished if you do something wrong. Another thing is even though I actually got to a point where I had some pretty godly gear. For example, I have this sword that's 37 DPS and legendary. This thing really started carrying me as I tried a bunch of the different things. You still never really out-level the monsters. There's always harder challenges. It just keeps on coming at you. So you can over-level, but it would take a lot of effort. So the game feels quite difficult all the time, which again is more of a Dark Souls thing. Usually in a lot of phases of ARPGs, the entire idea is to get super powerful one day to where you're just deleting everything. Maybe on the full release, you will feel like that. Maybe if I kept sitting here and grinding, I could get to that point. But the monsters always felt tough. It was never free whatsoever. And then another thing is the sheer volume of monsters. When I play Path of Exile, I kill more monsters in 20 minutes of Path of Exile than I killed playing for 13 and a half hours through all of the early access today. So it's also a volume thing. There are some ARPG aspects. For example, you get the items, you level them up, you have a town, you have your vendors, you have your different items. In this game, there is gathering. You can gather your herbs, you mine, you can dig, you can fish, and then there's no great way to heal. I think you can make a bed. I didn't make a bed yet. That's one way to heal, but a lot of the times you're just chugging the food that you're making to keep healing yourself. And if you're lucky enough, actually on some of your gear, you can get health regen on your gear. And I prioritize this heavily. Health regen. And that was a way to where, as long as you didn't take a colossal amount of damage and as long as you didn't chain pull enemies, which actually is pretty easy to avoid since there's not that much density, you're actually able to sustain and just keep playing. So I thought that was very valuable going through the campaign. Okay, so let's talk about some of the different aspects of how the game went. So let's talk about performance, like the actual performance of the game. My experience was a little bit different from what I was hearing a lot of the internet saying. So I want to present both sides because I was hearing it all day long. For me, I got, I don't know if you want to say lucky or just had fortunate circumstances. First of all, I have a very powerful computer. I have a 4090 Starforge hooked it up. Shout out Starforge. I have a very powerful computer. So I was streaming on YouTube and Twitch, and I was playing at max settings with 60 plus FPS all the time. I never had any problems. It was beautiful. A lot of people that didn't have as good of a system struggled, and they were very surprised with that and pretty upset. This is early access. There will be DLSS coming. Of course, we're going to hope that they make further enhancements, and then it's going to have to come to console and things. But a lot of people voiced that they had performance issues. Some of them just had to straight up refund the game because it just wasn't working. Even some streamers with pretty good computers that are used to streaming a lot of different games, when they're sponsored, still had a lot of problems. So that's a big ticket item that they're going to want to look at going forward. I did not have this issue. Another thing about performance, you can move on mouse and key. I'm doing it right now. Or you can move on controller. There is pretty much a unanimous opinion on the internet that the controller works very, very well, which makes sense. It was probably designed with controller first because it's coming to PC and the console. So of course, if it doesn't work on controller, you're doomed. And the mouse and key is a new setup that was not available in the alpha that I played. So it's a new thing. But a lot of people said that the mouse and key controls were very, very brutal to play with. So that's another thing that they're going to have to improve upon. So my overall review in this was very positive for me because I have a godly PC and I was playing on controller. So it was all good for me. But I want to present the other sides because just hearing my side is not going to give you the entire story there. So what about the actual game? What about playing it? Again, this is my first Dark Souls ever. I've never played Elden Ring. I've never played any of the other Dark Souls. This is my first introduction to a game like this. I loved it. I thought the environments were beautiful. I thought the story was great. I loved the voice acting. Maybe the best voice acting I've ever heard of in any game. It was just incredible job. I really enjoyed the bosses. A lot of detail went into them. If I compare these bosses to Tomb Lord, I mean, it's not even close in comparison. Was very impressed. I really liked all the enemies going through all the different maps. They did different things. I liked all the little puzzles and the secrets that they put everywhere. It was beautiful. In general, I would say I liked the itemization. The process of picking the different weapons and upgrading it and once I got some health regen, it felt pretty good. But there is one big topic that is being very heavily debated and people are very upset about, and I'm not sure that I agree with the full scope of the problem, but I definitely agree with part of it. So let me explain to you what happens. So you go out and you fight, and you're going to die. You die a lot. So when you die, you lose durability on everything, right? And then eventually your gear breaks, and then you port to town, which is right here. Let me back out. You port to town right here, and then you got to go to the blacksmith over here, which is down the steps and to the left. Okay, you go to the blacksmith and you repair your gear, and then you go on your merry way, right? So what I keep hearing a lot of people say is durability is a problem. Durability is stupid, probably because they're dying all the time. And then you have to go back to the blacksmith, and then you have to spend the gold to respec, and it sucks. That entire thing, I actually have no problem with. I don't have any problem with a penalty for dying. I don't have a problem with paying the gold and the gold being valuable and this being a gold sink. I'm very used to this. I wish the blacksmith was a little bit closer, but that's not the biggest deal. Now let's get to the part where I think this is a horrible thing. I despise this. Now you have durability on your actual gathering things. Your shovel, your fishing rod, your woodcutter's axe. They have a durability. And you notice how this thing is blank? This is where your mining pick is supposed to go. You want to know what happens for me every single time? Forget the deaths. Forget dying. I mine 2 or 3 ore nodes, and my pick actually breaks. And when the durability hits 0, it breaks. It disappears. It's gone. So it's not a 0 durability pick that you can go repair. It doesn't. It's gone. So every single time that I'm mining, halfway through it, it breaks, and I have to keep buying new picks. I think this system is horrible. I think that this needs to go away. I would prefer it for the gathering stuff to go away completely, but at the absolute minimum, this is the bare minimum. If you reach 0 durability on these things down here, you can't delete the item. At least let me repair it with my other stuff. But the rate at which the mining pick and all these things would lose durability, even the better ones, I have the iron ones, the rate at which these lose durability is ridiculous. Again, I'm not familiar with Dark Soul games, so some people are kind of educating me on this is kind of how it is. I'm used to playing ARPGs, and the whole thing that ARPG players are constantly begging the developers for is let me play the game. My mining pick, chain breaking I'm not kidding you, every 10 minutes is horrible. So I would beg the devs. People on the internet hate the durability entirely. I don't mind the death penalty. I don't mind repairing my gear, especially when I chain die. It's kind of like the walk of shame. That's okay. You got to stop breaking my mining pick. You got to stop breaking my shovel. You have to stop breaking my axe. I think this needs to be looked at tremendously. So again, so many positive things about the game, but I want to talk to you actually about the biggest problem. That's not my biggest problem with the game. My biggest problem with the game is kind of the same thing that everybody said, and I can just demonstrate it for you. I would say that this game has the worst inventory and stash management of any game that I have ever played. Someone made that comment to me in the chat that they said it was the worst of any game they ever played, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think I come to the same conclusion as well. So here's what happens. So first of all, if you just started playing, you might not notice this. It takes a while to notice, but once you start rolling and you can actually kill some stuff, here's how it goes. You port down and you kill. And then what's going to happen is, sorry about that. What's going to happen is this tab, this potion tab, and the resource tab, look how it's completely full, are going to be completely full. Now, in the game, when you get certain rewards, you can unlock more spaces. You see them down there at the bottom. I can tell you, first of all, it's nowhere near enough for how the game currently flows. And I can also tell you, it feels so bad to choose that as your reward. You feel forced to take that because otherwise you can't play the game. But you could also take these things to have different weapon slots and different ring slots and more utility things. And every time that you feel forced to take this, it just feels bad. Let me show you how bad it really is. First of all, it takes quite a bit of time to get into town and then be able to buy your own house. So I bought this house. There's many houses that you can buy. Guess what's the first thing that I did when I got in my house? Look at this. I put as many 20 slot stashes that I could possibly find. And I became so frustrated with it because the game is telling you, hey, mine this, shovel this, chop this tree down, go fishing here. Okay, I'm engaging in the activities that you want me to do. I'm playing the game. And you need to do this because there's a lot of different crafting and there's like building up your city and stuff like that. I got no problem with that. I got no problem doing the activities. But the inventory and stash management that follows it, let me put it to you this way. I was playing for 13 and a half hours and I died so many times. I got so mad so many times for dying to this, dying to that, stupid this, stupid that. First time playing a Dark Souls game. Chat's making fun of me. Chat's laughing at me. Haha. It's fine. I never once, not once, was going to quit playing the game for any of those reasons. What was going to make me quit the game was every 5 seconds, my mining pick broke and I kept seeing inventory full. this is also not a solution. When I come in here and I start vomiting these inventory fulls into all of these stashes, it also makes crafting a nightmare, or knowing what I have a nightmare. And then before you get all of that, then there is this tower that has a community chest, which is what everyone's using. So you start here. By the way, you don't have this door unlocked. You have to unlock this door, which comes later. But this, I'll show you the fast way. I'll spare you the long way. You have to run in here and go up, 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 up to your community chest, which is has a little bit more slots in it up here. And this is the only stash space that you get in the beginning. Again, overall, my review of this game is so positive. But in these kinds of games where they're trying to merge a Dark Souls game into an ARPG, I couldn't tell you the first thing about how a Dark Souls game is supposed to feel, but I can tell you for sure with 1,000% certainty how the ARPG side is supposed to feel. And running around and getting all these items and collecting things and building things up and crafting, this is what I do all day long. And if picking up the items and storing them is a problem, that's one of the worst things to get wrong. So I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here, but I am definitely going to be looking for the devs going forward for the 1.0 release to have a much better solution for inventory management and stash space. You need to let me pick up the flowers. You need to let me fish. You need to let me chop my wood. You need to let me mine my ore in peace. If you want to apply some pressure to me to not pick up everything, that's reasonable. What we currently have is going to drive people insane once they get far enough. I'm very interested to hear in the comments from people that played very far. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, it's not a problem. Did you get pretty far and start picking up all these different kinds of things? Did you constantly have inventory full and had to go back? It's pretty brutal. The other obvious thing here, just to be complete, but not to state the obvious, is the game needs more content. I beat the entire game in 13 and a half hours, and I've never played a Dark Souls game ever in my life. And if I had, it would have helped me a lot. I learned a lot of basics in this game. Like, for example, when you're fighting an enemy, the two best moves by far, it's not blocking, it's not any of that, it's parry or roll toward them. You would think roll sideways, you would think roll backward. People were laughing at me all day long. Like, Rax, you ever played Dark Souls before? No, I haven't. Oh, well, number one rule, roll toward them. Really? That doesn't make any sense. Trust me, roll toward them. Started rolling toward them, and then I started winning every single fight easily. I don't know why, but rolling toward the monsters, I still don't really understand this phenomenon, is almost always the answer. Yeah, but 13 and a half hours to beat everything with essentially no experience. People are certainly going to want more content than that. It's early access. More content will be coming. It's already in their roadmap. It's already coming. But just to reinforce the idea, that's something that people are going to be looking for. So thinking about everything in total, I would say that this game was very, very good. I was very happy with it. Some people, I had a very wide range of opinions here, coming in my stream the whole day. I was pretty favorable toward it, man. I thought it was a great game. The problems with this game are easily fixable. The performance issues will happen. The DLSS will help. Certainly, the mouse and key controls can be improved. I need the stash and the inventory space to be fixed. And of course, you got to stop breaking my mining pick, man. It's a mining pick. This kind of pressure is not giving me a fun and interesting problem to solve. You're just pissing me off, man, and you're just getting me away from playing your game. So I think it's very, very solvable. I really like the game, and I'm looking forward to playing it again, hopefully whenever they get some updates to it. This is my brutally honest opinion of the game. I do think it's worth picking up, especially if you like Dark Souls. If you like Dark Souls, then you should get it. If you don't like super challenging games, this game might rub you the wrong way. Either way, I'll continue my coverage of this game as the development continues. If you guys would like me to, let me know if you care about its development in the comments. But yeah, it's a nice little addition to the library, and I'm really happy that I played it and got the experience. Maybe one of these days I'm going to have to play Elden Ring a playthrough if you guys would be interested. Thank you.